tell us a little bit about yourself and the role, or your brand and the role you play there.
Sure.
You, Angie.
I work at Omaha Steaks. We sell steaks, but also chicken, burgers, hot dog, sides, desserts. We have the best desserts ever. And then, fun fact, we are the #1 direct-to-consumer seafood company in the country as well. So it's a fun gig, and I pretty much drive all of our paid media strategy for the company, and that leads from TV to digital to our direct mail and print advertising.
I'm Colleen Maloney, Senior Marketing Manager at Ministry of Supply. If you're not familiar with Ministry of Supply, we're a work leisure company, so we make performance workwear that's backed by science. So our co-founders met at MIT, have a science background, and all of our clothes are sustainable, machine washable, wrinkle resistant. So for everybody here on a work trip, our apparel would be perfect for you. I'm Senior Marketing Manager, so oversee all of our marketing calendars, work very closely with our paid social agency, and manage our direct mail strategy.
And I'm Angela Pine. I'm the brand designer at Ministry. I work with a creative team on all things photo shoots, design for website, but also I work very heavily with Colleen here on creating ads and developing our ad strategy.
All right, great. Well, as we were talking about earlier, the creative can get blamed if it doesn't work, but when it does work, it's amazing. So let's first talk about the challenges before we get into what was breaking through for you guys, or what has been breaking through. What were the challenges you were seeing that you realized, okay, we need to shake things up, we need to do things a little differently? And Angie, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, so for Omaha Steaks, for a long time, it was a very difficult entry kind of landscape, so we were blessed with that. And then prior to COVID, though, the #1 thing we realized is we really wanted to change our product spec to help really make it better, higher quality. We started aging our meat longer, and then with that came a bit of a change in audience. And while we were getting ready to launch all of that, COVID hit. And so then it was just, we've got to make sure we have product. And so as we went through COVID and we kind of changed the spec of our product, we then started to realize there was this big trend in competitors entering our market space, but something that I think I've heard from about 90% of the people I talked to this week is that, oh, my grandma sends me Omaha Steaks, which is lovely. We love your grandmas, but we also would like for you guys to buy Omaha Steaks for yourselves, or to gift it as well. And so we kind of realized we had to, Ken and Karen, my parents loved it before I worked there. So, it's just we had to change who was buying Omaha Steaks. Our average age was 65 for our average buyer, which is the best media to buy because it always works, but also we needed to start skewing that younger, so we knew we had to change our approach.
Got it.
Ministry kind of went through a similar thing. Before the pandemic, we focused more on suiting, and that was kind of our go-to thing. But then, of course, when COVID happened and everybody went to work from home, we flipped up our strategy in our clothing, and we were targeting more towards work leisure. So when I joined after COVID, or on the tail end of COVID, we were introduced with this whole new world of a work from home world and a TikTok world where everything you saw was on Reels or on TikTok. And we wanted to know how we could target our audience, which is the mature ages of 30 to 50. And we wanted to know, are they even on these platforms, and are we able to target them through here? And we actually quickly found that we could find creative ways to still use these platforms, but target them in a way that still spoke to our brand.
Well, so I want to jump in here in the sense of what had you been doing prior, and just, you can briefly talk about that, and then how it then started to change up, and when you realized, especially going into these newer channels for you.
Yeah, so we really didn't delve too deeply into a video strategy until about 2021. We have specific video on our website for our product description pages. So the unique thing about our clothing is the magic details. So Angela and I are both wearing our clothes. It doesn't really look that different than other brands, but it's really in the details. So the way that our clothing stretches and the way people can move wearing it. So using that video is how you really showcase those features. So yeah, in 2021, we kind of started to show that, okay, as people are heading back into the office, doing more of a hybrid lifestyle, we're used to working in their pajamas. They want to be a little bit more comfortable. So being able to showcase that in video was something that we started to integrate on our website. And then we found that we can also repurpose those for ads. We can use that in our marketing strategy. And so before we were using a lot more static photography and zooming in on those details, but now we have a little bit more of a mix of photography, static photography, and video.
And we had dabbled working with some influencers, and while those campaigns were successful, we struggled with finding the proper influencer for us, because normally I feel like the influencer world is filled with a lot more younger people, and we were appealing to a more mature audience, so we couldn't quite find the perfect influencer for us. And we started making these videos that were used on our product description pages, and I started re-editing them to appeal for those social ads, and we quickly saw a great performance in them, and we started more targeting those video shoots to also keep in mind that not only are they going to be used for our website and for those product description pages, but also knowing that we can re-edit them and throw in some copy and throw in some quick cuts to make them effective on social.
Well, so with these particular, we're going to show them in a second, but were you trying to focus on what distinguishes your, as you said, the clothing looks the same as any others, but to distinguish the different fact that it is more versatile, or it is more, you can clean it, or, why don't we run the cup, which one do you want first, the cupcake or the other?
We have this great video. It's our Velocity collection. We can play that one first. I think
it might have been the second one on the slide. We gave a couple options.
Not the cupcake.
We'll skip this one.
Not
this one.
Not that one.
This
there
one.
we go. Funny enough, I'm wearing the men's Velocity right now, but you can't tell.
Okay, so good advertisement here too. So for me to understand it, so you always did these shoots that you would do for your site, and these are obviously longer shoots. So you cut them down, and then were able to do something like that by then showcasing exactly what distinguishes your brand from others.
Yes, we were able to, this in-studio shoot that was specifically just to show how you can wear the clothing if you're shopping for yourself. We got creative and we threw in some special effects, threw in some quick cuts and some music, and made it entertaining, so you couldn't even tell that it wasn't necessarily filmed just for this purpose.
Okay, now Omaha Steaks. We know, obviously, as I said, I'm my dad, and I'm always waiting for that promo. You see it, and it's very that direct, or that direct to consumer kind of thing.
Very direct response.
Yes, very direct response. That's what I was looking for. So, talk about that. So, I sort of laid it down what you were doing a little bit, but you talk about what you've been doing, and then how you realized you need to change it up.
Yeah, we were real big fans of infomercials, which are not the cheapest thing to have out there. And then we also noticed, attention span is that of a gnat. So we knew we needed to start to shorten up our content quite a bit. So kind of pre-COVID world, 2019, we were still leaning into 90-second TV spots, 60-second spots, and I don't even know if they're called spots technically, to really drive a call to action of that phone call activation. Then again, kind of post-COVID life, we immediately cut everything down to 30 seconds because we felt we could be really compelling still in that shortened time frame. But then on top of that, digital was not a big part of our selling strategy pre-COVID, and so in about 2020, we decided to really start leaning into our digital side of the fence. And while we want that beautiful and compelling food shot to get people to think oh, that looks so great, I need to have it at home, something else we were realizing is that people then were like, that's so lovely, I could never achieve that at home. And so when we started to lean into Meta and testing into TikTok and thinking about how we could leverage influencers to drive our creative, we couldn't just take our beautifully done TV shoots or even things that we want to put on our product pages and then translate that into our digital ad spend. So we had to kind of change and pivot there, because our creative team does such a great job at making our food look amazing, because it is, but I am a mediocre chef at best, and so I can never, like, I see that and I'm like, I can't do that, so that might prevent me from then buying the product for myself.
So you wanted to become much more personable, like you wanted to connect to
more
people,
authentic.
more authentic.
Yeah, and it's been hilarious. So we use what we call like authentic creators. So they're not influencers. I could care less what their social following is, but I just need them to be able to shoot a really good iPhone scene for me, and I give them a storyboard and they create the content. And it's a little painful to say because I have very strong opinions about well done steaks, but one of our best performing creatives was this gal. She made this like, I was like, that's like a piece of bacon now, but she overcooked her fillets and it did so well. But I think it's because people could really relate to the content that we were putting in front of them.
Well, let's see your content now. So let's see what you were doing.
Yeah, and I would say like this is still in market. Like this is our TV spot, but what we used to do is take this and just literally push it into our digital creative. Yeah, so that was our TV spot.
Who's hungry now? By the way?
Right? Pure ground burger, single source, so good. But we never saw the engagement there. And so the next video you'll see, this video had a 28% lift in ROAS comparative to that other video we just saw.
Stop settling for subpar meats at the grocery store. Omaha Steaks guarantees the highest quality of meats, naturally aged and flash frozen to lock in flavor. These burgers were life-changing, and with their individually packaged servings, you'll never have to worry about waste. Try Omaha Steaks today and taste the difference in their meats. Get the best steaks of your life with a 100% money-back guarantee.
So go get a burger.
Yes, I definitely
Great
am
hangover
hungry.
food.
I'm very
Stop
hungry now.
settling.
just
it was
replaying.
coming back on. I'm
Yeah.
like, who's yelling at me? But in terms of, obviously this is built for social media, what you just did. Are you able to do that linear-wise as well, to create that same kind of connection?
Yeah, so at Omaha Steaks, we recently onboarded a customer insights practice within our own walls, and so really leaning into that first-party data, listening to our customer. We have a customer panel that gives us pretty direct and sometimes harsh feedback about what their experience was like, but then we pull that into how we're building out our creative, and it's actually changing the footprint of how we'll build out our creatives as we move forward. So an example is most of our consumers actually don't have kids in their household. Either they are pre-kids, just became empty nesters, or they're most likely grandparents. We used to shoot creative all the time that had all these big family meals. That doesn't really do a lot for most of our people. They're like, I'm not hosting all the time, so that doesn't relate to me. And making that shift really had a pretty dramatic increase in how people responded to our creative that we were putting out there. So really pulling the customer lives first and putting that in the forefront versus just always doing kind of what you see in the burger spot where it's only on the product. Trying to reflect a bit more of that lifestyle is going to kind of be a precursor to our 2024 creative strategy.
Got it. And before I go back to you guys, I want one more in terms of, you mentioned, you kind of went past it in terms of who you're using, not necessarily influencers, but I like the fact that it's not that the most followers or the polished one. I mean, you went to a specific company that gave you people who, that maybe we were part of it,
Yeah, so it's, I love going to these conferences because you randomly meet random people. So I picked up these lovely little group, this brother-sister duo out of Canada, Disrupt, and they work with these creator influencers, or influencers is absolutely not the right word, but creators who build this authentic content, and they just understand how to shoot on an iPhone, which kind of makes my internal creative team die a little inside, but they see the results and we like results. And so there's a happy blend of professional shots with then what those creators are doing for us. And then we have a third set of creators for us that are actually like, they're the foodies, right? But again, I look to foodies for inspiration, not because I can actually activate it. So we have to balance where we put all of those in market to make sure people feel connected.
Got it. And so I want to ask you guys, as far as when you mentioned you had used influencers initially, but then it wasn't necessarily working for you, because I know you had said, Colleen, that I think you weren't having as much control, or maybe it was wrinkled, they weren't displaying the clothing as well as you would like. So how are you, and maybe this might be a good time to show your second spot,
Yeah,
and then
this
you
is
can go into that and talk about
Yeah.
how you even did that more. So
In fact, this is a
that's
perfect
the
segue.
cupcake one.
Yeah, so the cupcake video features our CEO, Amon, and his children. And yeah, like you mentioned.
Let's just watch it first, and then.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay. That was great. So talk about now, because this is obviously one of the newer spots that you're using, not leveraging from what you shot, I don't think, from to what you put on your website, or is
Right.
it?
Yeah, so this is a little bit different, and Angela edited that all herself, and I think the concept of that one came from Amon, and we turned it around in about a week. So one thing that we really appreciate with, like you mentioned, with influencers is they can create very relatable content, but again, we don't have as much control. So Amon, and he, we whitelisted that ad, so he's kind of an influencer in itself, but we can make sure that that's on brand. We're exactly showcasing the key differentiators of our product, and that still has that, authentic, a bit relatable that you would see from an influencer. So yeah, that was a little bit different than obviously the type of content we would have on our website, but it's still on that white background. We were able to do it in our studio, in our office, and able to turn it around a lot quicker, but it has a little bit of a higher production value than you would typically see from an influencer.
So, and talk about results, because obviously, so you change things up. We're seeing this kind of spot where it really is showcasing how you guys are different, or how you can wear things. And if you this seemed to be almost a younger audience than what you were talking about initially. Were you changing up? Were you trying to expand your reach, and talk about kind of results you did see?
Yeah, I think, unless you had something to add.
Oh, I was just going to say that, I think what we thought about when creating the idea for this is those ministry moments, is what we call them, is when you're coming home from work and you're in your work clothing, you're not necessarily going to have the time to just take off your clothes and change before you see your kids. And you're going to want to jump into seeing your family and spending time with your family, and that our clothes are perfect for work and perfect for travel, but they're also perfect to just come home and be with your family and forget that you're in work clothes, because they're comfortable, they're able to be washed if they get messy, so they're just perfect all around.
Yeah, and in terms of performance, that ad, I think in particular, one of our ad sets, we're seeing like a 22x ROAS. So in comparison to some of the, static creative, we see a 3 or 4. So that it's all good across the board, but for that one in particular, and then beyond just the numbers, Amon, again, like I mentioned, has that whitelisted on his account, and the type of engagement that we're seeing of people just commenting, and he responds back directly. And that's something that Angela mentioned with the ministry moments is, beyond just the numbers and the performance, we want to connect with our consumers, and so having that, our CEO literally representing how that fits into his busy life is really just, I guess, a key differentiator for us.
Well, and talk about that. And you're saying as far as the results go, what is your KPI? We heard James talking about you need to set your parameters ahead of time when you put it before even starting the campaign, and what you're looking for. What are you specifically looking for?
Yeah, so we set pretty clear ROAS goals with our social agency, and that's a big win that we've seen in 2023, which was a lot different than what we were doing in years prior, is just setting efficiency goals. And so if we have a healthy ROAS, then we have healthy metrics across the board. So keeping our CPAs low, our CACs low, and if some of these creatives that Angela and we ideate and brainstorm on, they don't perform, and we'll shut them off. And we have one, we didn't actually show it today, but it's very similar to the first video that we showed of, it's even slower cuts, and it's just a customer testimonial over that PDP video of a model walking on the treadmill showcasing the pant, and I think that's been running for over 8 or 9 months, and it's just continued to perform for us. So as long as we're continuing to see a healthy ROAS, we let these spots run for a while.
Right. So now, Angie, you talked about wanting to expand. You know, you don't want just that 65 plus. Don't know why, but so. What were your KPIs now? Have they evolved since before, and talk about what they are now?
Yeah, I think our average age is like 58 now. So we have really actually moved the needle quite a bit on that front of helping us kind of redefine who our audience is a bit. Again, we like anyone who buys food to just buy Omaha Steaks, regardless of your age. But it does help us with our just like long tail, and we have a very specific and preloaded like LTV strategy that we invest to, which is a great luxury to have. And using that LTV strategy, we just make sure that we maintain the ROAS targets for those investments, as long as we can keep our percent new and reactivated customers really high on that ad spend. And so when we flipped into using those like authentic moments with those creators, we saw a 28% lift in that creative. I will say, like, the biggest challenge we have is getting Meta to scale video the way you want. They tend to tab out that inventory, and but the CPM cost is absolutely worth it over the static for us at this point when we run and leverage that creative. And like, I call her the chick in the green shirt, but the chick in the green shirt, she tends to, like, that content has been running for about 8 months for us as well, and she continues to just do really well as well. I didn't show the well done steak because, again, that breaks my soul, but that content is also still running because it does really, really well for us. So I think as long as we see those KPIs hit, again, and we hit our LTV investment tolerances, then we're very content to let the video do its job.
Well, and I know, I mean, what we talked about earlier, very direct response in terms of what you were looking for. And obviously that's more the bottom line, that's those conversions. Is that still ultimately?
Yep. Yeah, I would say, I'm again, it's blessed and a curse, right? I have 90% brand awareness, so trying to convince a 106-year-old company that they got to do a rebrand story is a bit of a challenge for us, but it's also a great opportunity for us to reframe. But now that we have a litany of competition that has entered into the fold over the last 2 years because barrier to entry just dramatically dropped, we are thinking about how we're going to position ourselves and bringing on brand trackers to really understand what's our consideration level. That's kind of the number one target that I'm personally going after this next year is, are we moving the bar on the consideration of Omaha Steaks? Because brand awareness will always remain high. Plus, we have the city named after us, I like to say, so it helps us out a lot.
Well, and I do think when you are looking for steaks, sometimes Omaha Steaks, I mean, you have more competition now, though, but I think your brand name would be the keyword that maybe they're buying.
It's really fun that we're like the number one driver for half of our competition's digital searches and their sales. It's really cool.
They should pay you.
I wish they would, except they make me pay more.
Well, before opening it up to you guys for questions, I just want to ask in terms of, we're talking about, obviously, I think we all in general consensus and what we've been talking about throughout the summit, much more authentic, much more personal, connecting to the audience. But the channels, it seems like you're leaning in social, you're leaning in different channels, top channels, like just go down the line. Like what would it be that you are finding the most results or most success with?
I would say right now it's definitely paid social. And while
Which one in particular? Any particular, or is it the gamut, or?
I think it's more of a gamut.
Yeah,
for
I mean,
sure.
specifically Meta, but we've started to dabble a little bit in TikTok. Like, we're running that spot with them on TikTok, and it kind of fits a little bit more of that type of content. And then we've also started to expand a bit into LinkedIn. So those are definitely like our 3 main platforms right now. Obviously have a presence on Google for search and everything like that, but Meta is the primary one.
Yeah, we're TV. It's still a big part of my buy. We're leaning into linear still, and then we're starting to flip into connected when the CPMs are right. But yeah, TV is still like a huge part of my ad buy.
So what is social? Is that more supplemental? Like when you these ads we just saw, like is that more to add reach?
Well, in conversion, right? Like a lot of people are watching TV. The halo factor there is insane. And so we can definitely feel it when we pull back on that ad spend, specifically on your brand demand projects like brand search and direct load. And so TV definitely has a major impact for us. And then digital, we all say we're on 3 screens at any given time. Like poor James, like I think I had my laptop and phone up while he was also presenting and loving the mixtape. But that's just how consumers operate these days. And so making sure we have consistent offers and messaging, because we are very direct response. So we just have to make sure that all of that is in sync together when we're in market. And so we leverage all of them. And again, they each have their own ROAS and LTV strategies. And so we just make sure that the campaigns are aligned.
Got it. Okay, so we have any questions for these guys?
In terms of social, I'm curious in terms of how you're incorporating first-party audiences within each platform. With partners like LiveRamp, are you excluding, purchasers? Just curious if you could speak to kind of your first-party audience strategy for social, since it is a walled garden, right? So you have to use, LiveRamp or an identity partner to really incorporate that first-party data. So just curious if that's a part of your strategy.
I truthfully leave that a lot to our agency, but we don't exclude customers. In fact, that's like a really strong channel for us, or a strong audience for us. But honestly, a little bit off topic of this whole summit, but we see direct mail as a really strong channel for our existing customers, and so prospecting is where we lean a lot on Meta. So that's like, I guess, how we differentiate those audiences. But in terms of the first party data, kind of leave it to them to be the experts.
Yeah, we break it up. So when I do my prospecting, I leave it broad audiences for the most part and just make it about our active files. So that way, again, offer based. So I'm willing to give you a better deal a little bit if I can get you to come in for the first time. And so we do a whole profitability investment on what kind of offers we'll put out there for the different types of files we use.
Anyone else? All right. Well, guys, thank you so much. This was awesome. Let's give Angela, Colleen, and Angie a big round of applause here.